What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. Let's talk about wildfires. Wildfires happen every year in every single state. The number of wildfires and acres burned every year varies, but data shows that they're becoming more frequent and larger in damage and size. 2020 was one of the worst years on record for wildfires nationwide. As high as 90% of all wildfires in the United States are caused by people. That's according to the U.S. Department of the Interior. There are many ways humans cause wildfires. Unattended campfires, burning debris, down power lines, hand grenade practice, and intentional acts of arson. The remaining 10% are started by things like lightning or lava. If you're in Hawaii, I guess. We will rank the states by the number of acres burned in 2020, which was the last completed year, along with some other facts. Let's take a look. Number 10, Nevada. If you're a person that only visits Nevada and goes to Vegas, your first thought is, what do they have to burn? There's no trees out there. They do have trees. They got a lot of brush in that area. But once you get up to the northern section with Reno, Lake Tahoe area, they got a lot of wooded areas and plenty of things to burn. The largest fire in Nevada's history was the Martin Fire. This wildfire was in the northern section of Nevada, and it was started in July of 2018. In total, that one burned 439,000 acres. It was a human-caused wildfire. In 2020, though, they had 770 fires that burned 259,275 acres, and 72,500 homes were at risk of being burnt or damaged. Number 9, Idaho. Idaho is home to the largest fire in U.S. recorded history. It was in 1910. It was known as the Great Fire of 1910. It burned 3 million acres in northern Idaho and western Montana. This fire was so powerful, and I don't know the whole background to it or how it happens, but trees were actually sucked out of the ground that were on fire, and just the force and the heat of it threw these things into the air like flying 10-foot candles. That's what the report says. I don't know how that science part of it works, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comment section below. In 2020, Idaho had 944 fires that burned 314,000 acres, and 175,000 homes were at risk. Number 8, Utah. The largest fire in Utah's recorded history burned 363,000 acres. It started in July of 2007. It was known as the Milford Flat Fire. In 2020, Utah had 1,493 wildfires that burned 329,735 acres, putting 136,000 homes at risk. Number 7, Wyoming. Wyoming has a lot of open space that is just primed for wildfires. Their largest one ever was the Yellowstone Fire in 1988. It was actually a total of 250 fires. It burned just under 800,000 acres. It was caused by 42 lightning strikes and 9 humans. Because 250 fires, they spread it out. It caused 2 civilian deaths. In 2020, there were 828 fires in Wyoming, burning 339,783 acres, putting 79,873 homes at risk. Number 6, Montana. Staying in the same area, we have Montana. They're another state that gets some pretty good fire seasons. Their biggest fire season was the 1910 one that they shared with Idaho, the Great Fire of 1910. But 2017, they had the worst fire season since 1910. There were about 2,500 wildfires that scorched a total of 1,300,000 acres of Montana land. The largest that year was the Lodgepole Complex Fire, which burned 270,000 acres of grassland and pine forests around Jordan, Montana. In 2020, Montana saw 2,433 fires, which burned 269,633 acres of land, putting 137,800 homes at risk. Number 5, Colorado. The Centennial State has always got a good fire season. That terrain there in the Rockies too, when they get a fire up in there, it's kind of hard to put out because the terrain's so rough. 2020 was the biggest wildfire season in Colorado's history. They had 3 of the largest blazes they have ever had happening during the 2020 fire season. For months, it just smelled of smoke. I mean, more than the recreational type smoke. And then the sky was just orange. I'd gone through there in 2020 on a train during the fire season. I think it was right about the middle of it, so it was going pretty good. I'd heard the train like 2 or 3 days later. I looked it up. I couldn't find out, but I heard that they had to stop it overnight because of a fire that was really close to the tracks or something like that. That's not confirmed, but I was told that. But last year, their biggest fire ever was the Cameron Peak Fire. It burned 208,663 acres. They had another one called the East Troublesome Fire, same year, same time, and it burned almost 200,000 acres. In 2020, there were 1,078 fires in Colorado, burning a total of 625,357 acres, putting 371,000 homes at risk. Number 4, Washington. The largest wildfire in Washington's history was the Carlton Complex Fire. That was from July 14th, 2014 to August 7th, 2014. So it only lasted 3 weeks, which when it comes to wildfires, especially you look at California and how long some of theirs last, like months at a time, that was a pretty short time, but it did a lot of damage. It burned 256,000 acres. In total, about 353 homes were destroyed, along with another 150 different types of structures, farms, stuff like that. It was caused by lightning. In 2020, Washington state saw 1,646 fires, which burned 842,370 acres, putting 160,500 homes at risk. Number 3, Arizona. Like Nevada, if you're not familiar with the northern part of Arizona, you just, maybe you've seen Phoenix or whatever, you just think it's a bunch of shrub brush and cactuses being burned. Well, Arizona, believe it or not, has some really nice wooded areas, nice forest out there. And occasionally, they catch fire. Not occasionally, every single year they catch fire. The largest wildfire in Arizona's history was in 1996 when the Lone Fire went off in the Four Peaks Wilderness area. It burned 61,000 acres and also sort of got into the Tonto National Forest. In 2020, Arizona had 2,524 fires that burned 978,568 acres. That is brutal. The 2020 fire season in Arizona put 237,000 homes at risk. Number 2, Oregon. Yep, my home state is number 2, and we get set ablaze every single year. We got a lot of trees just waiting to get burned. Normally, it's too wet to really get a good fire going during, let's say, not the height of the summer, but when summer hits, we get pretty dry and it gets bad, especially the eastern section of the state. When I was on that train trip that went through Colorado, I got on the Coast Starlight and went up to Portland from Sacramento, California. As soon as we got into Oregon, everything was brown. The sky was just orange. It smelled like someone was burning leaves in my backyard the whole trip. You couldn't escape it. It was horrible. When I finally got home, there were no fires, I'd say within, 50, maybe even 100 miles from my house. The sky looked like there was a forest fire or wildfire a couple miles away. That's how long these fires have been going on and how long they've been filling the sky with smoke. The largest wildfire in Oregon's history was in 2012. It was called the Long Draw Fire, and it burned 557,000 acres. We also had one this year which burned 400,000 acres called the Bootleg Fire. But in 2020, there were 2,215 wildfires in Oregon that burned almost 1.2 million acres, putting 151,000 homes at risk. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There are links down below. We would love it if you went over there and subscribed. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. California. Who didn't see this one coming? California is like the king of all wildfires. Growing up in Southern California every single summer, and sometimes well into fall, it was just smoke billowing out of the hills in the eastern horizon of the Los Angeles basin. It looked like the world's largest reggae festival was happening out there. The largest wildfire in California's history did happen in 2020. It was the August Complex Fire. This thing happened in August of 2020, and it burned over 1 million acres. It destroyed 935 structures. Luckily, there was only one death. I mean, obviously not lucky for that dude, but one death. That's not bad when it's burning over 1 million acres. In total for 2020, there were 10,431 wildfires in California, burning over 4 million acres, just a little over 4,092,151 acres, putting 2 million homes at risk. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.